What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to react to 3 true night shift horror stories animated. So without any further ado, let's get straight into the stories.
Please don't let the man I'm with see this.
Oh shoot.
He's going to take me somewhere bad.
My
We're going
hand
straight in
shook
here.
as I read the note I'd found tucked between the packets of Doritos. Before I could even process what I was reading, I found another one tucked behind the bags of Pringles. It said the same exact thing. I scanned the aisle. At the far end, a little girl was watching me with tear-filled eyes. She looked about 8 or 9,
Oh
with
lord.
dark hair and a purple hoodie. She was pale, fidgeting with the hem of her sweatshirt. As soon as our eyes met, she looked in the direction of the man she had come in with. I stood up, clutching the note. I had to do something, but it was way past midnight and there were hardly any people
Oh nah,
around
he
to
just
help me if he
looks
had a
evil.
weapon.
He just looks evil.
I'd been working the graveyard shift at the Allendale Road Quick Mart for 7 months. It was usually just me from 11 to 7, except for the occasional truckers and insomniacs. But the pay was decent and I really liked the quiet.
I'm not gonna lie, I could never work a night shift at a gas station, okay? Like, it could be like right down the street from my house, paying $45 an hour, and I was I would still refuse to work a night shift at a gas station. It's just too many risks, man. I just couldn't do it.
It was a normal Monday night. Around 12:40, the little girl walked in with a middle-aged dude in a trench coat. He had a scruffy, unkempt beard.
He just looks like
and was
he just
holding her
looks
hand
evil.
really tight. They went straight to the beverage aisle. "Grab whatever you want. I won't stop after this," he told her. She nodded and wandered over to the snacks. At a glance, they looked like a normal father and daughter, but the way she kept checking on him made me pay attention. She seemed anxious and fidgety as she started grabbing cookies and candy. About 5 minutes later, a few customers came in. I rang them up, then headed over to restock the snack aisle. Suddenly, I saw a pink note tucked between bags of chips and another one between the cookies. All of them were a desperate call for help.
Oh lord.
Walking back to the register, I saw she'd left even more of them. I felt sick, thinking about what she might be going through. I slipped into the back office and dialed 911 just before he rounded the corner with the little girl. He was holding a bottle of water and a pack of gum. Getting a better look at him, he seemed like a completely average guy in his 40s and looked like one of those neighbors you'd never look twice at.
What do you mean he looks like an average man? He just looks like he kidnaps and touches children. Yo, I don't know what average men they be looking at, but good God, this is evil ass town.
He flashed a smile as he set his things on the counter. I forced a smile back, trying to keep him talking until the police showed up.
Cute girl. Is she your daughter?
"Yeah,
How old is she?
8. He started making small talk about road conditions while I rang him up. He sounded totally relaxed, like there wasn't a single thing wrong in the world.
Look at her face, bruh.
Meanwhile, the girl stood behind his left shoulder, staring at the floor the entire time. He grabbed his change, said thanks, and walked her out. Right then, 2 patrol cars pulled into the lot. He saw the lights, stopped, and put his hands up. Officers swarmed him before he even got to his car. He kept shouting that it was a mistake, that he was her father, and that he was taking her home. They searched the trunk and found a toolkit with duct tape and zip ties, plus
Oh,
a bag
Lord.
of kids' clothes. They arrested him on the spot. He was still yelling as they shoved him into the back of the cruiser. They took the girl to the hospital to get checked out. The cop who checked in with me before he left said she barely spoke and kept asking for her mom. I went home at 7 a.m., feeling like a hero. I even texted my mom about it.
Okay.
A week later, 2 detectives came by.
Oh.
They sat me down and dropped the truth. The guy was indeed her dad. He just won full custody after a long court battle and was driving her to his place in
Damn.
another state. The kid was furious about leaving her mom, so she planted those notes, hoping someone would stop the trip. The duct tape and zip ties were work gear from his construction job. The clothes were his younger daughter's.
Dang.
I didn't know what to say.
Oh my god.
Then, the detective mentioned that her mom had been arrested 2 days earlier. Her phone was full of messages showing she'd spent weeks coaching the kid on exactly what to do if her dad got custody. The detective thanked me and said I did the right thing based on what I saw. I nodded
Damn.
and showed them out. I kept thinking about the guy's face when they threw him in that cruiser. Now, when I look back, he doesn't seem angry. Instead, he looks desperate, caught in yet another act of manipulation, and realizing he really couldn't trust his child. Like he knew how bad it looked, but couldn't get the words out fast enough to explain.
Damn.
And I made it tougher for him.
Damn, my fault, G. That was on me, man. I'm sorry. All right, story number 2.
The guy was
Oh,
2
what
feet
the?
taller than me. He was bald,
Oh,
wearing
no.
a cut-off vest and covered in ink. He'd rolled in just after 2 a.m., bought a black coffee, and instead of leaving, he sat by the counter like he had all night and
This guy just looks like the type of person to murder somebody, bro. You know what, Ashley? Let me not judge. I judged the last guy and turned out he was innocent. Let's see how this guy is.
started talking. At first, the small talk was normal. He asked how old I was, how much I made, and what I was studying. He said he'd been in my shoes before, understood the grind. Shortly after, the conversation drifted to the weather, soccer, and rising crime rates in the States. You ever read about Ted Bundy? Who hasn't? I figured he'd make a face at the horror. Instead, he flashed me a grin. Brilliant guy. You imagine how thorough he had to be? Yeah?
Okay, maybe this
I
guy
mean,
is messed
people
up.
just focus on what he did, but they miss how. The level of control, planning, and patience. Killing is like mastering an art form. He started
Yep, I
rattling
definitely think
off
this guy's
about
evil.
BTK and the Golden State Killer, and the specific procedural details of their cases. He mentioned stuff that wasn't even public, as if he'd studied it for years. The more he talked, the more I wanted him out. Suddenly, the door chimed and a blonde girl walked in. She looked like she was in her late 20s, wearing jeans and a jacket with earbuds in. Without even looking over, she headed straight for the refrigerated section. The guy shut up instantly and started staring.
Oh,
The whole
nah.
time she was there, he didn't take his eyes off her for a second. Uneasy, I moved over to the register to ring her up. She paid, smiled at me, and left. The second the door swung shut, he stood up and followed her out. My
Uh-oh.
stomach dropped. Every instinct I had screamed at me to go out there. He was clearly a creep, and she was alone. I'd only been a month into the 7-Eleven graveyard shift on Grover Street. Ever since I started working, I've always gone for the graveyard shifts because of how peaceful the nights were. Plus,
Still
the
could
pay
never
was
do it.
almost always better. Sure, things got weird once in a while, but I'd handled enough of that to think I knew how the job worked. It was a regular Friday in late August. The clock was reading 2 a.m. I was alone and in the middle of building a well in Minecraft when the creep walked in. He bought a black coffee, sat down, and started talking. The conversation got creepy fast, but I figured I'd just wait for him to finish his coffee and leave. Suddenly, the girl showed up, and he followed. For a
No,
second,
oh my
and
god, yo.
suddenly, the girl showed up, and
Look at his face. He is up to no good. Stop him.
he followed. For a second, I contemplated following after them and making sure the girl was okay. But thinking better, I called 911. I told the operator everything, from the weird conversation, the serial killer references, how he'd watched her, and how he'd followed her out. 2 units responded within a few minutes. I stood behind the counter for the next hour, trying not to think about what might be happening a few blocks away.
Bro, I would have
Picture
followed her, bro. I ain't
being
gonna lie.
dragged into an alley, getting killed, or maybe having a fate far worse than death. All because I cared more about my safety than hers. When my phone rang, I jumped. It was a detective. "We got them both," he said. "The woman's fine, but there's something you need to know." As he started explaining, my blood ran cold. The
What?
woman wasn't a victim. She was his partner. They'd been at it for 2 years,
Oh.
and investigators had been tracking them for a string of robberies and murders across multiple states. The whole thing was a setup. They'd used this routine before, where she'd act like a regular customer, and he'd act just aggressive or weird enough to freak the clerk out. If the employee felt protective enough to
Damn.
follow them out into the parking lot or alley to check
Oh
on
my
her,
God.
they'd strike. The detectives said the serial killer conversation
Oh my
wasn't
God.
random. They'd figured out what kind of person worked overnight shifts alone and what kind of bait would work on them. They'd usually target someone who paid attention and felt responsible if something happened to a woman they'd watched walk out alone at 2 in the morning. You were the target
Yo.
tonight, Alan.
I
He said he made a wise choice by not leaving the
Okay.
counter and playing hero. That was the only
Yep.
reason I was on the phone with him instead of lying somewhere in the dark behind the building, robbed and beaten to death. I didn't feel particularly wise here.
Yo, that means I like totally would have died, bro. I gotta stop judging these people based on their appearances. Alright, you know what? No more judging them based on their appearance for the rest of the video. I'm just gonna see how it plays out. Cause I'm 0 for 2 right now. I'm 0 for 2.
Hearing it. I called because I was worried about a stranger I'd watched for maybe 4 minutes. Same, get hauled out of my head like a fool. Exactly who he and my instincts. I don't think I
Alright,
was
story
wiping
number
the
3.
register when I heard the loud screech of tires, followed by
Oh,
a
Lord.
crash so loud I actually felt it in my chest. It was a couple of minutes past 2 in the morning, and it was totally dead outside. I could still hear the loud hum of the engine. I bolted from behind the counter, ran out the front door, and stopped cold. A black sedan
Oh,
was wrapped around
no.
a tree about 40 feet off the highway. The front end was completely crushed. The driver's door was hanging open, and this guy was stumbling out with one hand over his forehead, blood leaking through his fingers. He was shouting for help. I ran over, thinking I was doing the right thing. I really wish I'd known then how badly I was messing up. But I was
What?
22, still figuring out how to be an adult and working the overnight shift.
I
at a
respect
gas
that, man.
station
I
off
respect
Route
that.
9 in rural Virginia. It was my first night shift job ever. Before this, I'd worked day shifts at Target and a couple of coffee shops. I'd been at the station for about 8 months and was constantly questioning why I hadn't done that before. Most nights, I rarely had any customers, except for the occasional trucker stopping by for coffee and chips. It was quiet enough that I could use the time to work on my novel. By
Okay, she's a
midnight,
writer.
The highway was usually dead. Well, except for that one time when the sedan crashed. I ran across the gravel to the car. The man grabbed my arm the second I reached him. He was shaking and his eyes were unfocused. Please, call 911. I told him we needed to get away from the car, that I'd get him seated and help. But he kept repeating it, desperate, like he was scared someone would jump from the car and get him at any minute. Skeptical, I looked over my shoulder and saw the woman in the passenger seat.
Oh.
She wasn't moving. Her face was covered in blood,
Oh,
with glass in her hair
no.
and down her shirt. I told him to come inside so we could call 911 while I went to get his wife. I got him onto a stool behind the counter and found the first aid kit. I handed him an ice pack and had only turned to get his wife, but his shaking hands clamped around my wrists, stopping me. He shook his head frantically, opening and closing his mouth as if he couldn't decide what to say. Suddenly,
Oh.
the front door swung open and the woman limped in. Glass was embedded in her cheek.
Oh my
Her
God.
shirt was soaked with blood. Her eyes were wide with alertness, and she looked furious. She stared at her husband and started screaming, calling him every name in the book.
So she's the one, huh?
She accused him of flirting with me while she was bleeding to death. The guy tried
Yo.
to calm her down, but she only got more furious. She started hurling gum packs and cigarette boxes from the register.
You fucking swine! I'll show you and this sidekick of yours.
She called me a homewrecker, insisting she knew exactly what I'd been doing. I tried to tell her she had the wrong idea, that I was just trying to help. But she
Yo.
crossed the store in 4 steps, slapped me hard
Damn.
across the face before she yanked my hair.
Ma'am, you're taking this all wrong.
She shut me up with another slap. I tried to pull away, but her grip was too tight. Tears stung my eyes. Behind her, the guy was shouting at her to stop, but she wasn't listening. Suddenly, he reached into the cooler, grabbed a beer bottle, and smashed it across the back of
Damn.
her head. She dropped to the floor and didn't move. He was breathing hard, looking at me like he was drowning. I'm sorry. Every second of our 20 years of marriage has been hell. She'd been screaming at me the whole drive. I lost control. Please, you have to help me. My life is ruined. I can't take it anymore. My face was still throbbing where she'd slapped me.
Yo.
I was shaken, embarrassed, and honestly pissed off. She'd called me a homewrecker when I was just trying to help. So when he asked me to back him up and say it was all from the crash, I didn't push back. In the moment, it felt like justice. 20 minutes later, the cops arrived. We told them our
That's
story
crazy.
and they bought it. They had no reason not to. 4 days later, I saw them on the news. She died at the hospital from a brain bleed. I turned the TV off and sat there. For a few days, I told myself she was the crazy one, and he was the victim, and I'd
Ew.
helped him like a good Samaritan. But the unease wouldn't go away. I started thinking about the timeline. She had been unconscious in that car. I was certain of it. But minutes later, she walked into the store, and her anger was laser focused on her husband. She wasn't acting like someone dazed from a car wreck. She was acting like someone who knew exactly what she wanted to say. What had they been fighting about on that drive? What did she find out? And was a car going that fast on a straight, empty highway really just a loss of control? I don't know. I might never know. But I do know that I stood in a police station and lied for a guy who'd killed his wife in front of me without ever giving her the benefit of the doubt. She could have been right. And now, she's dead. Those two facts stare me in the face, and they don't go anywhere, no matter the number of jobs I switch.
But like, she was low-key beating your ass though, man. Like,
Alright, that's gonna be all for today's video. If you guys want me to react to more scary animated stories, comment down what you guys want me to watch next, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Still hear your voice at night, make me feel right. Jump right back into my